Welcome to this installment of From the Trailer with your hosts, Michael Bernstein and Gustavo Soler. From the Trailer is broadcast weekly throughout Orlando from a custom-built, state-of-the-art on-site broadcasting trailer and features interviews from unique guests from all facets of the entertainment and production industry. And now, please welcome two individuals with over 50 years of real-world experience in the world of movies, video, audio, live, and virtual event production. Your hosts for From the Trailer, Michael Bernstein and Gustavo Soler.
Hello, and thank you for joining us once again here at From the Trailer. I'm Mike Bernstein. To my right, I believe it's that way, right? Or that way. I don't know how this webcam stuff works 100% yet, but that is Gustavo Soler. He's the guy running the audio console in the back. What we do is we're doing a talk show with other people in the industry and see, what they've been up to with the whole COVID situation and pretty much what they're up to now that, things are starting to open back up and has their jobs gotten back to 100% normal or not. Today we got a really cool guy we're going to be talking to. If you notice, we might be not looking directly at the camera sometime, Gustavo and I. It's roughly because we're actually in the trailer right now, and we're doing the show. So as you can see, I'm right here, and the wall behind me is another room. That's where Gustavo will be, and he's the guy who's running the audio. So sometimes you might not be looking directly at the camera, and we're sorry for that. It's because, again, we are producing the show as we're filming it. We're also want to give everybody a notification that we are still doing giveaways. Currently we have one of these Epidose Connects. It's basically a USB dongle on one end and an HDMI on the other end, and it allows you to connect pretty much any HDMI signal to your laptop. So if you're a video gamer and you want to record your Xbox games or your your PlayStation games, put this up to a computer, send the video signal to it, you can record it. You can also use it as a streaming system too, so if you want to stream to like YouTube or Facebook, another way of doing it. And the way to basically enter our competitions, all you have to do is just become a subscriber to this channel, and after every 25 subscribers, we'll pick somebody at random, and they'll win one of these. This will change throughout future episodes. We don't know what future giveaways are going to be yet until our sponsors give us stuff. So currently what we're going to do is we're going to talk to a gentleman named Stuart Hall. He is the lighting and grip professor at Valencia Community College here in Orlando, Florida. I've known Stuart for a long time, and he's a really cool, nice guy, and he's fun to work with. He's probably, when it comes to lighting, probably the first guy I will call about any question I have when it comes to television film lighting. He does do lighting for corporate events and stuff like that as well. And as a professor, he basically gets a bunch of students each time, and he has to go through pretty much all the equipment that you're going to use on a film set or a movie set, things like that. So let's say hello to Stuart and see what he's up to.
What's up, buddy?
Hi, Gustavo. Hi, Mike. How y'all doing? Everybody happy?
How you doing, my friend?
We're doing pretty good. So
I was actually thinking earlier, Mikey, before I was trying to figure out when I know that you and I must have met on an industrial show.
I think it was an industrial show. Yeah, it had to be an industrial show.
I can't for the life of me remember when it was. Do you? I know it was a long time ago.
I'd say, at least 10 years ago, maybe? 15 years ago?
Oh, at least. At least. Yeah, at least.
I don't remember.
A while ago.
Yeah, it's been a long time. And you've been at Valencia for a long time as well.
20 years this year.
I think I've met you maybe on one of Ralph's projects. Maybe. I don't know. That's a possibility. I've been
Ralph, of course, for anyone that doesn't know, Ralph was the one who, with Rick Rietveld, who originated the Valencia program and was with it until he passed away about 5 years ago.
Yeah, he was a really cool guy, very nice guy, very knowledgeable, willing to help out with everything.
Yep.
He was not the kind of director to sit there on the sidelines. He actually would get involved and help out with projects.
Very much so.
I'm trying to remember when I met him. I was on, I think it was Sequest when I met Ralph. He came out a couple times to talk to people about coming in and doing lectures and stuff at the school. And very nice guy. Very knowledgeable about everything that's going on in the film scene in Florida.
Yep.
Was definitely, I think he pretty much pushed the film industry in Florida as much as he possibly could with the school.
It was interesting when he passed away. Like I said, I think it was 5 years ago. There were so many people that, as they described him as their mentor. I mean, person after person after person. I mean, hundreds of people all saying, Ralph was my mentor. I'm going to miss him so much. Pretty amazing guy. And I absolutely am among the people who consider him a mentor. Absolutely.
Now, you weren't there when the program originated, were you? You came after the program originated, right?
The second year, I wasn't teaching. I was a student there.
Okay.
The program started in 1988 out at Disney. In 1989, I actually moved to Orlando to attend that program. A friend of mine from the first class, a guy named Chris Alicia, had told me about it, and Rich Remay, I think you know Rich.
Mm-hmm.
Rich Remay and I were pals and worked together down in Fort Lauderdale, and we moved up to Orlando to go there, and we just stayed here. But by then it had moved to Universal. And then right around 2000, Ralph called me and asked me if I was interested. At that point, it was just 6 weeks a year, and the school was much smaller then, and they were at Valencia already, and it was like 30 students, something like that, 32, right around there. And the program is you're there for the whole year. It's not like you take a class Wednesday from noon to 3. It's like you're there for a year. They want people to really want it. So, and since then, it's really increased. I wish they would limit it, but they don't, because less gives you more attention per student. But this year, I think we were 53. Last year, I think we were 53, and I think we're looking at 60 next year. I don't really deal with that, but that's kind of the feeling that I've gotten.
Yeah, but compared to other schools, 60 students is still not a lot. I mean, if you think
Very
about
much
it.
so.
I mean, I know other film programs that, they'll dump in thousands of kids if they possibly could. You know what I mean? So 60 is still a good, I think last time I was there with you, was there 15 students in the class at the time?
Well, there was at a time, but there were 4 groups. So there were 14 or 13. And when just for the viewers, Mike was out at the school last week. And what we divided, we have 2 tracks and 2 groups in each track. So there's the 4 groups. That's how we got down to the 13 or 14 that you had at each time. Because we're 52 this year.
But in reality, still, each group is only 15 students, though, right? So it's not like you have
Correct,
300 people in one class at a time.
Correct.
Because I have dealt with other film programs where you walk in and there's 100 students, and you're like, okay, how many classes? It's only one class. So I still think it's and what I've seen from the program, it's a lot of, it's almost probably 100% hands-on from the way I look at it.
As much as possible, Mike. This year was a challenge because of COVID, of course. But speaking of class size and just program size, like I said, you have to have X amount of prerequisites before coming into the program. And then, like I said, you commit to a year. It's not like you do it part-time. You commit to a year. It's 4 days a week with either, they have the 2-track. One track will take lighting and grip. The other track will take camera with Professor Paul Main, who is a very skilled technician. And then we'll switch tracks. But on Friday, they have classes with other outside professionals. And then where I started with this is it used to be, in the past, I was there just for 6 weeks.
Right.
But now this year, they brought me back. They've extended that 4 or 5 years ago to 12 weeks so that I can have more hands-on time with the kid, of course, or the kids. This year, with COVID, I literally ended my time with them last Friday. And we are now, June 6th, June 7th, June 10th, something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, it was basically a full-time job for me this year, which it's never been before. But I like it. I really love working with the kids. They've done their best to get a good package together, lighting, grip, camera. They've kind of got everything. They've got a full sound package, a fairly full lighting package. You lighting guys never have enough shit. You know that. Fairly full camera package. We've got a couple Red Ones, a Red Dragon, an Alexa Mini. We've got several assorted lens sets.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a bunch of C300s. We've got some, there's Alexa talking to me. We've got some, DSLRs. Alexa, shut up. Because the kids will shoot some of their own stuff, we try to bring larger projects in so that they can work with pros as much as possible. and give them that experience. A few years ago, we did a movie with Kat Dennings. It was at the time it was called To Write Love on Her Arms. Ended up being called Renee, and I think it's now called Day One. It's changed names several times.
Yeah.
And that was a full pro union crew with a full student crew in addition to it.
Well, Ralph started that back during like Parenthood, didn't he? With Ron Howard, started doing that where he brought the students on. I believe it was Parenthood or something. It was back then. I know it was when he started doing that. I believe, right?
As much as possible, yes,
Yeah.
it does. He doesn't. The deal is when you want to use, basically we offer the gear.
Mhm.
Here you go. You want some gear? And we'll
Right.
give you free labor. And what's optimal is to have professional department heads, and then maybe a professional or two, so that the students can learn directly from them instead of the professional just saying go do that, and they go, well, I know how to.
Each
I kinda
department
know
head
that.
would be a professional, and then everybody below them would be the students. I mean, that makes sense. I mean,
Or
it's
maybe even a pro or two on the crew too to help hands-on teaching.
second and third.
Because like the
basically, kind of
gaffer
thing.
has to be with. Yeah, absolutely. I used to survey the top gaffers and key grips in the area every year, but it became the point that they just all said the same thing. I said, "What do you want me to teach them?" And they literally would say this, Mike. They said, "Teach them to be early." Okay, beginning people, they have a hard time with that,
Yep.
especially college students. Teach them to be early, not on time, early. Teach them to be nice. Teach them what the gear is, and maybe how to use it a little bit,
Mhm.
and then send them to me, and I'll teach them the rest.
Because I know,
So-
I know your biggest slogan to your students is, "If you're on time, you're late."
Exactly.
And
Yeah,
I know
and,
that's something you've been saying for years. Yeah, so as the lighting and grip professor, what's like the basic stuff that you're going to go through with these students? I mean, do you go full into depth of every piece of equipment, or is it a basic type of structure? Since you basically these grips want you to basically give them the basics, or is it really in depth?
As much in depth as possible, Mike. With the time that we have, it's never in depth enough. You know how that goes. I try to teach them a little bit about electricity, and forget. I know you're here, but you're here on my monitor, so that's why I'm looking
No, it's
down
okay.
there.
It's okay.
I try to teach them a little bit about electricity so they don't kill themselves or somebody else, and then the basics of the job. The basic, the standard lights that everybody use, which of course is changing right now as we record this in 2021, going from incandescent lights and HMI lights over to LED lights, which is changing everything. But color temperature, you still got to know about it, even though you're no longer using gel. And that's something that the kids have a hard time grasping. It's just, we do a lot of work on that. There's 3 parts to light: the intensity, the color, and the apparent size, how big the light appears to be, not how big it is. And that's, of course, where we use diffusion to soften the light. And, that's a full week. We're going to deal with that. We'll deal with safety and just basic grip stuff. We spend a couple days completely on C-stands, which is not even nearly enough. I'd love to spend 3 weeks on C-stands. Because when you get out, everybody uses C-stands.
Yes.
And, there's a learning curve that has a quick disintegration. We do C-stands, and then the next week we come back, I give them a C-stand, and they're like, oh, I don't remember how to work this. But until you've done it 10,000 times, that's just kind of how it is.
Yeah, I think that.
And
of course, what's a combo? It's all the different kind of stands you have to deal with, and you'd say, here, throw this one up, or set this up, or but yeah, no,
well,
it's.
I try to do with basic rules. Basic rules like raise the top riser first, stuff like basic stuff. How to open the stand, raise it up. They get it wrong until you've done it so many times. You just get it wrong. It's just how it is.
Right.
Because it looks really easy, and it is. For somebody who's been doing it for 30 years. How you doing? But it's like, I get up and I open, I flip it and spin it and it goes down. They go, oh, how hard could it be? That old guy's doing it. But, when you're doing it and you've got 6, thumb screws to pick from and you miss one, it just screws it up. So we just do it again and again and again and again and again. And that repetition hopefully gets them some muscle memory. We crack a few bad jokes to keep them from being bored.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I've been to a couple of your classes, and you never keep it stiff. You always try to make it relaxed and easy and fun for everybody, which is really cool.
As
'Cause
much as possible.
I've dealt with some professors in the past that are like, oh no, it's got to be straight, straight narrow, no jokes, no, and it's like, hi, that's not fun, and you make it fun. I mean, that's the cool thing.
I appreciate that. But why?
You do
this business?
Yeah, the business
This
is
business
fun.
is about having fun.
Yeah, and being creative.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some people will say your biggest downfall is bringing me out to some of your classes, but hey, we have fun. I
Mike,
know Gustavo is going to sit there and say that's it's a bad idea bringing me to a class. Yeah. See?
Well, just for your viewing audience, Mike has been gracious enough. Mike and I are old friends. He's been gracious enough to bring his amazing, fantastic, incredible electric camera, one of them, his camera car, out and let my students operate from the back of it, which they all just absolutely love. They have no idea how much fun they're going to have and how much they're going to enjoy doing it. And they're all like at the beginning, oh, really? And then the car arrives and they go, ooh, what's this? And then they get on the back of it with you driving down the road and they're like just having a blast. So I always thank you a million times and it's still not enough.
You're welcome. Anytime. Now, the only downfall about you just saying that right now is Gustavo's going to bug me about it for the rest of the day. Because no matter what happens, he always sits there and goes, oh, you don't want to talk about your car? And I never bring it up, but he always says I do, but I don't.
His only purpose in life is to hear someone say what you just said.
Exactly. See what I mean? So that's what I have to deal with on a daily basis.
My car. Electric car.
It's just that Gustavo's jealous.
It is a cool car, Gustavo. You got to admit. You got to admit, Gustavo, it's a cool car.
No, it's got nothing to do with the car. It's with the dumbass that owns it.
Thanks. Just because I don't know audio, he calls me a dumbass, And you know what? I don't want no audio.
Everybody's a
That's
dumbass.
his job. So, I mean, earlier you were talking about, incandescents, conventional lights, that kind of stuff, and LEDs. You and I both know LED changes every 2 seconds. So, going from the old striking, the old big, incandescent lights, you had to strike the arc and all that stuff, to LEDs, I'm sure has gotten easier for you over time, but what has been the big change besides the technology side of it? I mean, has the usage changed? Has the setup time has changed? What makes it better now than it was 15 years ago?
In terms of LEDs?
In terms of lighting as a whole. I mean, has technology made it better? Is it smaller setups?
Well,
is it faster setups?
LEDs have absolutely changed everything. Color temperature changes are this instead of putting gel on and, all that. It's changed everything. Instead of, do you know Randy Reed, the RE rep? Well,
No.
He's the RE rep in the Southeast.
Okay.
And I was fortunate enough to meet him, and he brought about 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago now, a prototype of the S60. Which is that light that we put on your car that day?
That thing is a great light.
Yeah, that's a great light.
Well, it's part of the
and
Sky
he brought
Panel.
a prototype.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Sky Panel S60, exactly.
Yeah, it's part of the Sky Panel series.
It is. And he brought one, it was a prototype. And we turned that thing on, and I saw how bright it was. So we put a meter on it. It was using 3.7 amps. And it was giving me more light than a 2K, which uses 17 amps, 16.7. And I'm like, give me one right now. Just take my money. And, they really have been almost that way to the industry. I own a rental actually out on the other side of those windows right there. And I rented it out for a production about 3 years ago. And so they came in, and the gaffer came in with a van full of S60s. Now, you had a couple of other lights, but basically he was lighting this thing with an S60. And then he puts them all out, gets his iPad out, changes the color, changes the intensity, and does it all from his iPad wirelessly. They're cool lights, and they can do, but it's, they have some limitations. Some LEDs, if they're not good LEDs, the S60s are a good LED. If you go some speeds, they'll start flickering. If it's a cheap LED, not the S60. I want to say that, Ari, if you're watching, I love your S60s. They are not cheap lights. They're good lights.
That entire product line is rock solid lighting. I mean,
big time.
We've sorry, Gustavo, but I know you're going to hate this portion, but the camera car has been on other projects, and every time they do stick a Sky Panel on it, either a 120 or 60 or I don't know what the biggest size is right now, but We did have
The 360.
The which one? The 360?
360.
Yeah, it wasn't that. It was the one between the. I think it was the 120.
That's the 120. Yeah, but the 360 is basically 460s.
Yeah, no, it's not that
together.
Big. Yeah, I believe it was the 120, and they had two of them on the car. And we've had them on multiple vehicles, and everybody loves them because you just throw a small little, battery system on it. You can run them off pretty much anything. They don't take any power.
To tell your viewers, what we were doing is we were pretending that Mike's car was a cop car. So we put the S60 at the top of the car and turned it on cop, and I was riding on the front of Mike's car, operating the camera, and so we could see the reflection of the lights hitting the car that we were chasing.
Yeah, it was.
And the shot looked really great. I don't know if you ever saw it. It looked great.
I never saw the final of that one. No, I never saw the final
Looked
project
great.
of that. But yeah, it's cool that you can also create effects with that lighting. I know there's like a fireplace setting. There's the cop setting. I think there's even
there's
a
about
lightning
6 or
setting.
7 fireplace settings. That's the nice thing is they've got, like, for example, for a cop car, you can have yellow, you can have red and yellow, you can have blue and yellow, you can have yellow and white. They've got all options. I mean, just in police car, there's, 30 options, I'm guessing.
And then each option
they've really kind of done their homework. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can always adjust the intensity. You can adjust the speed of the car flashing. It's just cool. They've really done their homework. And of course, you connect it to the internet, and it updates the firmware. So they're always giving you new stuff. You can emulate gel. For example, my teaching assistant, Louis Poggi, you know Louis.
Yep.
He knows that my favorite color gel is R21 Gold and Amber. I just like it. It's very pretty. It's warm. The skin loves it. So when he does a demo, and I let him do the demo on the LED lights, he always pulls up, and I say to a student, he's going to pull up R21, because I know he's going to do it. And he always pulls up and says, Stuart likes this one. And usually the student that I say that to says, is it R21? Just to be a wise guy, So yeah, and it is. But they've got different manufacturers, different gel colors that you can pull up inside of it, so you don't have to put the gel in front of it.
Yeah, I saw the on the app they had like the Lee and the Ross filters, all that, so you can just punch which one you want and it goes right to it instantly. I mean,
they don't have all their colors, but they've got almost all of their colors. Mike.
There was a lot that I saw, and I'm not a lighting guy, and I looked at it and I was like, whoa, there's a ton in there. I mean, to me, like I said, I'm sure it's like the Ferrari or Lamborghini or Cadillac of lighting. You and I have done a bunch of independents where you don't get that. You get a guy with a flashlight and you hope that he's got the right color gel. But no, I mean it's a very killer lighting system. It really is, and I mean, stuff I've done with you looks great. The stuff we did that. I know we went down that hill one time in the back of the school. I know we did. It might have been that same. It was the one with the drone. Like the drone was like chasing the girl or whatever. And I know we went down the back of the hill, and you had some other lighting effects on that with the sky panel as well for that one.
That was a fun shoot. The actress that starred in that is one of my favorite people in the world. She's just really nice, and she looks great on camera, and she did a really good job. So that was a fun night. Although those of you guys that are out here, if you're on the back of Mike's car, when he takes a corner, just be ready to go until you get used to it.
That happens in any car. It doesn't matter. It happens in the van, in the truck. The gear does the same thing. It's not.
Hey now, you be quiet, audio man. Just because I don't drive like you do, nice and slow. Gustavo does 15 into 55.
I absolutely love that car.
So I mean, we know lighting has changed a lot in the last 20 years. Has the grip side of your teaching changed a lot too as well, or is it pretty much
not nearly as much as the lighting side? And the light. Let me go back to that if I may for 1 minute.
Yeah.
One of the most dramatic changes is, as I said, we metered the S60 when I saw the prototype of it. We put an amp probe on it, and it was, I think, 3.7, 3.8 amps, something like that. So let's just call it 4 amps. Well, a 2K, a 2,000 watt light, gives less light than the S60, and a 2,000 watt light uses almost 17 amps. Now, most outlets in your home are either 15 or 20, the vast majority of them being 15.
Yeah.
So you can safely put 3 S60s on one outlet, whereas you can only put one 2K on an outlet. So just the amount of light, the bang for the buck, so to speak, the amount of light you get per watt is dramatically higher with an LED, dramatically higher.
And there also is a big difference in the cost, though. An Area S60 is not a cheap light, but it does so much more than the
About
other.
About $5,600, I think.
I think they're cheaper than that now. I think they went down to like $4,500 somewhere in there. I think.
Maybe.
I think. 'Cause I know there's been competitors coming out trying to, knock them, and I know there's been knockoffs and stuff like that. So I think they did drop it a little bit. But again, it's an Airy. You're not going to buy a piece of garbage from Airy. I've never
You get what
seen,
you pay for.
I mean, I've never seen a bad. When they did their Airy 1K kits, the little, remember the old Fresnel kits that came in 4 in a box? Those were never garbage. None of their cameras are garbage. They don't produce crappy equipment. And again, it is one of those things.
And that costs money.
You might spend a little more, but it's going to last you longer. I mean, you can keep on
Well,
buying.
it's like I tell my students, I suggest to my students to get a good pair of gloves, natural kind of gloves, calfskin, leather, whatever you like. But because they'll just go out and buy gardening gloves. It's like, don't get that. Though they will, and get a good multi-tool. Spend the money on a multi-tool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In my opinion, the
Leatherman.
Leatherman Wave is the best. That's my favorite.
Yep.
But spend the money. A Leatherman Wave in Home Depot is, I don't know, $90, $95. That's a lot of money to a college kid.
Yeah.
But if you buy a $10 one, the second time you use it, you're going to snap something on it.
Oh yeah.
So now you're back to square one. You're going to spend another $20. Spend the money. Get a good headset. Spend the $100. Get a good headset, because on a set you need a good headset. There's just some things that you just got to spend the money on. And if you want a good quality light, Ari is one of those things. Mo Richardson, same thing. They don't sell cheap shit. They sell good
does
shit.
Mall make an LED yet?
I haven't seen one. I wouldn't be surprised if they do, but Airy has just dominated the market.
Yeah.
I mean, they just flat out have dominated the market. Between the LEDs and their M series, which are their HMIs, which don't use lenses. They just have optics where the reflector moves. Those are a great source of lights, but they're expensive. The big sky panel, the sky panel S360 is about complete with all the stuff that goes with it, is about $22,000.
Yeah, and
something like that. And you really need to buy a case with it.
And you definitely need like 2 people to move that thing around. The yoke on it was like the yoke is like insane. It's like you need like 2 guys to move that big huge light.
Yeah, and if you don't buy a trace for it, you're going to be repairing it all the time. So that's another $2,000 or $3,000 to get a good case for it. But you know Leon, right?
Yeah.
He used to work at MB. He bought one, and Hollywood Rentals has been doing a sub rental on it for years for him. I think he just took it out of there. So it's probably paid for itself a couple times over, and now he's got one that's in mint condition. So they last. That's one thing about Airy. They make stuff, and they make it sturdy, and they make it to last.
Yeah, I mean it's a good.
But to answer your question, where we got on this, grip has changed. I mean, everything is always changing, to be sure. But I think that the changes in lighting instruments, particularly LEDs, has made the lighting side of it change much more dramatically, just because of the development of LEDs. You can get so much light for so little power. If memory serves, you can plug an S360 into a wall socket. I think it's around 15 amps. Yeah. And the S360 gives you the light of about the same amount of light as about a 6K. That's a lot of light.
I thought it was brighter than that.
Could be. It could be. I've never put a meter on the two.
10K with that thing.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, it's
and people are putting them up on Condors instead of 12Ks.
Oh yeah, making the
and they work.
Fake suns,
Absolutely. But grip stuff, although it has changed, hasn't changed as dramatically as the LED revolution, for want of a better word. And so grip stuff is always getting better, but somebody invents a new adapter or a new clamp or a new this or a new that. I mean, grips get excited about the weirdest shit, and that's okay. I mean, we just had Shiloh out. Well, you and Shiloh alternated
Yep.
Wednesdays or Tuesdays. Yeah, and Shiloh came out and he got all excited about a new connector. And,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, he should. You know, it's for what he does. He was doing car mounts for the kids. You know, it made everything much easier, faster, quicker, better. You know, so yeah, he gets excited. You know, I get excited about carabiners. Nobody gives a shit about carabiners, but, you know, I love them. You know, I just love them. And, you know, I get excited about adapters for power. You know, stupid shit like that you would roll your eyes at. I can see you rolling your eyes inside your head right now.
Well, I mean, different. I mean, Gustavo gets happy when he gets a VGA cable because he thinks it's the best thing since
Absolutely.
sliced bread. You know?
Yeah, when
It's
Shure
got
or
more
whoever.
pins, more pins. It's better. No, man, wheels,
Well-
casters.
Oh my God.
I guess Gustavo, you probably get excited when there's a new wireless mic coming out.
Yeah, I'm more excited when people learn how to use them. Because even the old ones were good. It's just a matter of doing it right. The typical
Yes,
story,
that's
I
a good
got the
point.
DJ that calls me is like, hey man, I want you to hook me up with a really good wireless. And I'm like, all right, let me find out some prices. And then I kind of thought about it and I went back. I thought, let me call him back. It's like, hey bud, what do you mean really good microphone? He's like, a wireless. And he's like, yeah, one of those, you know, $300, $400 ones. I'm like, dude, no, go to Home Depot. The real wireless are $6,000 and up. So,
Yeah, they are.
but
It was
yeah,
interesting years and years and years ago. A friend of mine who used to mix for Hall & Oates, we were just talking about wireless mics, and he said, I've got some at the house. You want to try them? I'm like, okay, sure. So he gave them to me, and it turns out they were prototypes that Shure had given to Hall & Oates to try for them. Little
That's
sideline
really
story
cool.
like that. Yeah, only 1 out of the 3 worked, but of course they were not new at that point.
That's really cool.
I like you, by the way. I like your new digs there, Michael.
Which ones?
Where you are,
Oh, in the trailer? Well, thank you.
your little portable trailer there. Yeah.
This is basically Gustavo and I got together, and during the pandemic, everybody else was freaking out, and we were like, let's build a production trailer. And
And that truck in a box. I think you should get a lot of use out of it.
our best friend became Home Depot while we were building this thing. It was adventure. You know, both of us never really done anything like this at all, and it was it's made it easier for us to do certain jobs. You know, we just roll up, unroll cables for cameras and power and some wireless microphones, and we're ready to rock and roll. You know, it's
and
not
we
like,
got AC.
yeah, we got air conditioning, we got heating, we got a humidifier.
That's the best. It's like, I
How
don't
many
wanna
how
get
many
out of here.
inputs, Gustavo? How many audio inputs are you dealing with? Looks
Hey,
like
bud, well-
24.
Oh,
Well, no. I have. I'm actually operating right now on a CL5, and it's on Dante base. So
You're talking to a lighting guy. What the fuck are you talking about?
my limit is 512 and plus.
But those are virtual, right?
No,
No.
they're physical
No?
mic pre's that I could allocate remotely outside of the trailer
Nice.
in different places. Basically, it's input boxes that I can throw anywhere in the trailer. You know. Now this console can do 64, but I could add consoles to this, and it's just
Right.
crazy.
And here's where I'm gonna sound smart when it comes to audio. You ready for this one? He can multi-track every one of those channels.
There you go.
I don't know what
There
that
you
means,
go.
but he can do it.
I just choked. Now, yeah, we have multi-track capability. It's kind of interesting the way the world you guys are coming from. It's not really my world. That's why sometimes you see me kind of quiet back here. I'm the rock and roll concert, live sound, corporate event kind of guy. I mean, to do a TV or to deal into a studio, it's a new thing for me, to be honest. And broadcasting is actually a new thing to me. But the concept was also to try to bring it all together into one central place. So we've done like full-blown concerts where the talent takes their live tracks with them. You know, like we give them the full multi-track of their event, and they overdub it afterwards, and they can do whatever they want with it. And so it's
It's all electrons. It's all
yeah.
I
yeah. And well, like I said,
Mike,
I mean,
Mike, how many camera inputs do you have, Mike? I know you've got video input also.
Yeah, I can
What-
do
what's
up to,
your
I can do
capacity?
up to 20 camera inputs, all in 4K.
Nice. So basically unlimited audio and 20 4K inputs. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
guys.
anything more than that, I would always recommend somebody to go to like a, the big full 18-wheeler rig broadcast type system.
The
because-
multi-million-dollar one.
Yeah, this is definitely more for the independent corporate side stuff, little smaller
Sure.
projects.
How big is the actual trailer you guys are in?
It's 7 feet wide, 16 feet long. It basically, we also, but I mean, we do have other video portions in here. We've got instant replay machines, we've got graphics.
Sure.
We can pretty much do anything but anybody wants. We're not trying to hit like the Super Bowl. We're trying to hit the smaller markets.
Of course.
Though we could do.
Do you know what your power requirements are, Michael?
12 amps.
Oh man, and that's probably 3/4 of that's for the air conditioning.
Actually, the air conditioning starts at 8 and drops down to about 4 to 5 once it's up and running, and then the rest
Yeah.
is all everything else in here. I mean, the biggest draw would be the instant replay machine. It's so
Yeah.
individual device.
Fantastic.
But, yeah, we tried to keep it as small and very little power consumption as possible. We've got this thing, we can run it on house power. We actually just did a reality show where we had it plugged into 2 outlets in the house.
Was that the one down in Kissimmee?
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah. We'll just
Talking
leave it
about
at
not
that.
doing TV. That was my first experience. Ouch. Long hours.
Brought to you by Mike's Portable Trailer. Use it for all of your audio and video needs. Doing a little commercial for you there, Mike.
Thank you. So
No,
now
we're
that,
totally independent, man. We can do generator power, house land. We can hook up to a house or a power distro. And if we get our way,
Stuart knows a little bit about our next experiment. What you're talking
Okay.
about, Gustavo. We're gonna try and run this off the battery system, Stuart.
I knew that was coming. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Are you gonna use the 3K and see how long it lasts?
We're gonna. Well, we've got the 2.5 kilowatt. We got the 5 kilowatt, and the
Okay.
10 kilowatt. We've estimated
All right.
somewhere like 12 hours of runtime on the. Was it the 5K or the 10K?
my feeling is the 5K, but
Okay.
it's just a gut feeling. It's not, mathematical or anything like that.
So
It's been tough to get
12
full data
hours?
out of those.
I've got meters. If you want to meter stuff as you go, just give me a little lead time, and I'll get the meters to you.
Yeah, we'll give you a
And
holler.
I've even got a meter that you can plug into a Edison outlet. It splits the signal, and then you plug into the other side, so you can read the amperage on an Edison outlet
like a
without
kilowatt
tearing
box?
it apart.
Like that kilowatt reader thing?
It's kind of like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got a couple of holes. One is for big readings, and one is for concise readings. And it cost me like $10-20. It's not very expensive at all. But I
okay.
can take a reading out of an Edison outlet. It's really kind of comes in handy when it comes in handy. That may be what you need. Let me
Cool.
know a little ahead of time. I'd be glad to help.
Yeah, I'll give you a holler. That's definitely something for what you guys do for lighting. You definitely need to know what your power requirements are wherever you're going to be.
And that's where we actually spend certainly the first week. And it's very foreign to 95% of the students have never dealt with that at all. So I mean, like literally their first assignment is take a picture of 3 different things in your house electricity-wise, and they can't be the same. So like I suggest to them, take a picture of your power box, your breaker panel, take a picture of something with more than 20 amps, take a picture with 20 amps and less, so that they can realize, okay, well, there's the different sizes. I never really thought about that. And of course, as we start talking about it, well, you're going to use this cable here. Well, what cable is that? This is a 60 amp jumper. And then they've heard amps before, because you took a picture of the stove plug, which is 50 amps or whatever their stove plug was, and hopefully they'll kind of give it something to relate to that they can understand, that's familiar to them, because it's sort of it's all brand new to them. It's
Yeah.
like you walking over to Gustavo's mixer and Gustavo walking into your video mixer. It's like, all right, well, I've seen this work, but I don't know what the hell it is.
We've actually
try
been
to
in
give them
that
a little
position
something they can
before.
relate to. I
Yeah,
bet.
we've had to exchange a couple times in the past, decade or so we've worked together. But now, I mean, you guys don't teach actual wiring, right? You're just teaching like what each plug does and how to use them. Are you actually
Foundation,
going
the
into
basics.
wiring?
Yeah, I do show it to them, but I don't require them to learn it. I explain it to them because the bottom line is I want to make you functional on a set. Now, if I had them for a full year, oh yeah, we would do that. And we would put plugs, we would take plugs, God, I'm getting all kinds of mail here. I would get, all kinds, we'd put plugs together, we'd take them apart. But it's more important, in my opinion, for them to figure out, like, for example, to go from, in our soundstage, to go from a power distro, we've got 6 200 amp power distribution panels. And there are cam locks coming out of it, so I've got to teach them about cam locks. I've got to teach them about feeder, 4-aught, 2-aught, and bandit. And I've got to teach them about the different print. Now, their eyes are already starting to glaze over, just like yours are, Mike.
Thanks. I know the basics.
But they got to
that.
know that. But they got to know that to be an electrician,
No,
even if they're going to be using it less and less.
The first you have to teach them about feeder is how to carry feeder. That's the first thing. Because that stuff sucks moving it around.
Wheels,
Well,
man. I told
do.
you, wheels. I'm all about
absolutely.
with wheels, man.
Wheels and shoulders. Wheels when possible, shoulders when that's not. And we
Yeah.
teach them about coil and cable and about, yes, there's 2 pieces of
Fundamentals.
sash cord on this cable. Pardon me?
Fundamentals, survival skills.
Yeah, that's it. If I can give them the ABCs on a set, they're going to get the D through Z's.
Well, it's
and that's what the
retarded. It's
gaffers want.
ridiculous how much Ohm's law can explain our world. If you think
Yeah.
about it. I mean, at least in audio. Now
Oh,
with
very
the
much. It's much
network
more
and
so
all
in
that
audio,
stuff.
yeah.
But when you're talking
But
audio,
you've seen the thing.
speakers.
You've seen the meme, Gustavo, I'm sure,
No.
where it says, it has a meter up there and says, is futile, because it
Oh.
has the ohm signal resistance is futile. Yeah, that's
I don't
it's
know
a-
that.
I don't think
I'm
he
wearing
knows about
Star Wars, so I
Trek.
got to do that.
I don't think he understands what Star Trek is, Gustavo.
Nah, I'm a foreigner. I don't speak English.
But yeah, we try
Yeah.
to give them the basics, and
Yeah.
it make one of my proudest moments, and I get these semi-frequently, is I'll get a message or an email from a former student who had no intention of going into lighting, and that's fine. Our attitude is you learn a little bit of everything, then when you got to do your job, you'll know more about everything in general. And I get an email or something saying, I was a PA on a shoot, and I was walking back to the truck, closing up C-stands, or I was coiling a cable, and an electrician said, you know how to do that. Where'd you learn that? And I'll tell them. And sometimes they get offered you want to work on our crew tomorrow? And that's what it's all about for me,
Yeah.
is getting my students jobs, getting them work,
Yeah.
And that's what I try to do. I give them an invitation into 477, which is the IATSE Studio Mechanics Union in Florida. I'm a member of the executive board of that local. And about 5 years ago, Nancy Flesher and Lucy Weber, 2 other board members, and myself created a program that gives students graduating from an accredited, underline that word, accredited film school in the state of Florida, they get a large discount if they want to join the union. I mean, the union's not for everybody, but if you want to be in a big show, you got to be in the union.
Yeah, if you're going to
And
work
so,
on any major movie, you got to be in the union.
Exactly.
Yeah, or you have to
Exactly.
have
So-
a specialized job that nobody else can do, and they do like a waiver. Otherwise, if you're not in
Right.
the union, you're not going to get on there. Yeah.
Right, and that's just how it works. I mean, if you want to do small shows, no problem. But it goes from, I'm not exactly sure, but I think currently the first year to join the union is $1,150, I believe. That includes some other stuff. But if you do it with the recent graduate plan, it's like $630. That's not half price, but it's pretty damn close. And if you want to get your foot in the door, getting that discount when you're just out of college can really be a benefit for you.
Oh, yeah, no,
Get you
definitely.
in working with
Yeah,
professionals.
it's definitely going to help you out. I mean, any discount you can get was always a
Is
benefit.
it something we said, Gustavo?
No, he got some. He got a call. It's no big deal. Where do you see the future of the school going with this program?
That's a good question. That's a real good question. I hope we continue on very much like we have done, Mike, just trying to give the basics and as much as and I know you've heard me say this, style points. I mean, there's the basics of a job, no matter what the job is. And then there's style points. knowing how to tie a certain knot that you need at that moment in time, knowing how to correlate. How many little things do you know about video that you don't know unless somebody tells you?
A lot.
A million.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've certainly told me over the years, you've taught me a bunch of stuff about video. And it's those style points that are above and beyond. We teach the basics. We'll give you a working knowledge. We're going to let the gaffers, the key grips, the DPs, we try to get you so that you can walk onto a set and not be a hazard. And I know that sounds harsh, but it's not, how many people, and I know you've seen it because I've been standing right next to you when it's happened. You see somebody walking around a set and it's like, what is this person doing here?
No, I know exactly what you mean. And it's you and I have both seen there are some people that definitely should not be in the industry, and there's definitely some people that deserve to be in the industry, and everybody I've seen outside of the program you're in all want to be there, and they all want to, they really, I've worked with some of them after they've got out of the school on different projects, and you can tell they all want to be there, they all want to do it for a living. And the entertainment industry is not an easy industry to be in. It's definitely not for everybody.
That's an understatement. Yeah, that's an understatement.
I'd say it's probably one of the hardest businesses out there. And especially you and I both know you've got to have the life of like a gypsy. You got to move around, and that's, Hollywood is not the big thing right now. Right now it's Atlanta, and next it might be Louisiana, or it could be anywhere. It all depends what's happening. I know New Orleans is picking up again, and it's that lifestyle of you're not always going to be in the same city your whole career if you want to be in the film industry. Theater and other forms of entertainment might be a little different. I know if you want to be in theater,
I think the only thing that's tougher than what we do, all of us, Gustavo, Mike, you, me, Grips, Electrics, and all that stuff, is the actors. I think that's perhaps the only thing that's really more competitive.
Oh yeah. And and
that is more competitive.
Some of them get it even worse than anybody else because it's like, oh well, you don't have the right color hair, or you're 5 pounds too heavy, or you're not tall enough, or your skin's not the right the right shade of this brown that we want, or it's some of them it's just like wow, it's like what they have to go through is ridiculous.
And to get a role on a commercial, even as a small support, you're going through 4 or 5 auditions, which could turn into nothing. So you've spent 3 or 4 days of your life and got 0 for it. So that's a tough gig. And even when you're doing the job, everybody's worked for 4 hours for you to do your job for 3 minutes.
Oh yeah.
And if you screw it up, everybody's, kind of rolling their eyes at you. It's a tough gig.
Back when I did special effects, that's how I got in the business. My nose was in a print ad. And I was like, well, we had a neighbor who was a photographer, and he's like, can I borrow your nose? And I was like, sure. And he took a picture. And it was the funniest thing in the world because to me, I'm like, okay, what's the big deal? But he told me he had to look at like hundreds and hundreds of different noses. And like the client was like, no, I don't like this nose, or this nose is too, and it was like one of these weird things. I'm like, I never really thought of stuff like that, and then, but I do know of some actors and actresses that have had to deal with stupid things as simple as that, and it's really weird. It's a very weird industry. I know you've changed different departments over the years as well. You weren't always.
I actually
100%.
went to Valencia. Yeah, in '89, I went to Valencia as a sound guy.
Yeah.
Rich Ramey was the electrician. I was the sound guy. And I'm no competition, Gustavo. You can sleep at night. You don't have to worry.
Stuart, this is an interview for your next job. I'm trying to get rid of him somehow.
Gustavo, you're out. But yeah, I came up here, and the year that I came up, there was like 32 students in the class, and like 15 of them were sound guys.
Okay.
So Ralph, you knew Ralph.
Yep.
Did you ever know Ralph, Gustavo?
No, he never. I don't think he ever met Ralph Clemente.
Well, he was Bavarian. He called himself the humble Bavarian, and he had an accent like this. And for every once in a while, for no apparent reason, he would hold on to a word for no real reason. He just did. But anyway, so we turned in a resume to join the school to get admitted. And I'm 66 now, and I think I was like 35, 34 then. So I'd been in the industry for a while, but usually doing most stage stuff as an electrician. So, I'd done a lot of sound stuff. So he goes, Stuart, I see by your resume you've done the electrics before. I go, yeah. He goes, maybe on this show you'll do the electrics for me. Okay. And I just never went back to audio. I just enjoyed doing electrics and just kind of stuck with it. And that's okay. I tell my students, I said, sometimes you discover that what you wanted to do, you just don't like.
Yeah.
Okay. And one of my former students from about 5 years ago, I think, I think he was just the first year we were over in the new building, maybe 1 year before. He was a camera guy. He had studied camera and he was trying to do camera. He couldn't break in as a camera. And his roommate said, his name's Jordan. He said, Jordan, we need an extra electric. Will you come do electric with us? And he went, okay, I need the money. He's up in Atlanta. And then they said, we need a board operator. And so his roommate said to the gaffer, well, Jordan's really good with computers. And he said, do you know how to run a light board? And he said, I can figure it out. And now he's one of the top board operators in Georgia. And that's a good gig to have.
Yeah.
You sit in a nice, comfortable chair, usually in air conditioning, and you're doing this instead of throwing 4-aught on your shoulder. So, and he's doing very well. He came back to visit, and, I'm so happy about his success. So you don't always end up where you thought you were going, but you get where you want to be eventually.
But the other cool thing about the entertainment industry is you can change jobs and still be in the industry. And there's so many.
As evidenced by Jordan.
There's so many different jobs available, and there's so many different jobs out there.
Mm-hmm.
Different departments by itself is crazy.
Yep. Yeah, and it's amazing how a little thing, like I said, I told you about sometimes a former student as a PA will be coiling cable correctly, and an electrician will say, hey, where'd you learn how to do that? Or just opening and closing a C-stand. That's where most of them get noticed, is they're opening and closing a C-stand correctly instead of just trying to figure it out. They throw it on their shoulder, bip, 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 closed, and off they go. And a grip sees that and goes, that guy knows what he's doing. Because it's not hard to do, but somebody has to show you. As you've heard someone that you like very much say, it ain't brain surgery.
No.
And it's not.
It's not. It's like everything else. Once you know the terminology, it'll all fall into place. I mean, there's stuff Gustavo
when you're
talks
trying
about
to
all the
teach,
time. I don't understand half the stuff he's talking about. But if I knew it, I would understand.
I don't know either.
Like, I've seen him talk to other audio guys, and they're like, yeah, and they'll ramble off numbers, and I'm like, I don't know what these codes are, but you and we could ramble off codes about a camera, and he'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about. So it's definitely a thing where, if you know the terminology, it's going to you fall into place for you.
For example, you're exactly right, Michael. For example, there's one piece of gear that what it does has become its name, which is not very common, a beadboard holder. It's got a baby pin on it. You put it in the C-stand, it'll hold a piece of beadboard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, it's got 6 names. It's got the manufacturer calls it a Quaker clamp.
Yep.
Which all my students misspell Quaker clamp on their tests. But it's, in Florida, we usually call it an onky bonk. But it's got like 6 names. Mick Jagger, because of the lips on it, kind of go, I can't get no satisfaction, and it's just all of those names. It depends on where you are. You go to California, they're not going to know onky bonk. But here in Florida, that's the only thing I've ever heard it called. So where you are, and there's different names. I tell my students that we give gear silly names so the human beings can't understand it, just to make it sound like we're special. And I think that's really a lot of it.
Or you have it where you have to give it a weird name for accounting.
Yeah. Well, it's like, you and I would talk about triax, and it's like, triax, what's that? To a human being, what's triax?
Yep.
They might think coax on their cable. But for us, triax is a different thing. Triax for us now is different today than it was 3 years ago, than it was 3 years before that.
Oh yeah, triax.
I think
actually,
triax is now fiber.
Well, yeah, SMPTE fiber on a camera is becoming the norm, and there's actually a new version of that coming out soon as well. So it's like, it's
And,
gotta
and even
change.
what you just said, the SMPTE fiber.
Yeah.
That's even more confusing. You say fiber, people go, okay, I got fiber. Oh no, but it's SMPTE fiber. Huh?
Exactly.
And it's all those names that gets confusing. And like you just said, you get on a set and sound guys, no offense, Gustavo, but you guys are just, even when you said, yeah, well, I'm gonna, I'd like a new S36, 47/29, gamma, boo boo, okay, that's sound guys are just amazing with remembering that. Lighting guys give silly names to shit, and camera guys are just behind the sound guys with numbers.
Camera guys more care about the model number of the camera. They don't care about pretty much anything else. And all they really care about is, okay, is it in focus or not?
And and what lens?
Yeah.
What lens is that?
What lens, and are they in the shot, and is it in focus? And you and I both know most major, indie films and up, the camera guy never really focuses the lens. You got a focus puller for that. So it's like, it's now with the whole grip and lighting, with obviously the fact that cameras become more digital and got smaller, has that made it easier for you guys in the grip and lighting, or is it still a whole different process of thinking about how to get things complete and finished?
My father was a photographer, like a still photographer. He worked for a newspaper, so I grew up around cameras and lenses and all that stuff. It's still about controlling not only what you shoot at. So I'm going to go over here to my camera. So let me see. There's a delay, so it's so weird. Okay, here that's that hand and that's that hand. Okay, so you're right here, but what's in focus, the depth of field is here.
Yep.
So it's not just the framing this way, it's the depth of field telling the audience what to look at that way. That has remained the same. However, some of the different looks that you can get in camera, that has changed dramatically. But glass is glass.
Yep.
You're more in tune with that than I am, perhaps. But glass is glass. If it's good glass, it's good glass. If it's fast glass, it's fast glass.
Yeah.
If it's slow glass, it's slow glass. If it's tinted, whether intentionally or not, if there's a tint to, I know.
Yeah.
But they've got them, and they got them.
Oh yeah, and I hate them.
Yeah. That's why we've got Avid and Premiere Pro and all that shit. But it's like glass is glass, and you pay for glass. Lewis, my teaching assistant, says frequently kids will ask us, what should I buy? And we just say, nothing, rent it.
Yeah.
Rent it from Mike. Or if you're going to buy something, buy a lens. Because a good lens is a good lens.
It'll never change.
We've got a lens. Yeah. They may get some updates and newer stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We've
got a Zeiss Super Speed lens that you've seen. I don't know how many. Every time we've shot together, you've seen that Zeiss Super Speed lens. Goes down to 1.3, 1.4. One of them goes to 1.2, and I love it. They're all primes, of course, but they're clear, they're clean, they hold their focus, and they go down to 1.3.
I've got a couple lenses that are older than me, and they're still perfect.
Yeah.
The glass.
Those Zeiss lenses are.
Yeah, glass will never change. The cameras always do.
Those Zeiss lenses are probably 45, 50 years old, and you just get them refurbished every 3 or 4 years. Just get them tuned up, and they're just great. So that's something that really doesn't change.
What's the?
So other than that, rent it from Bernstein.
What is the degree the students get from your guys' film program over there?
I think it's Associates of Science.
Okay.
I think.
An AS. Okay.
Yeah, I believe that if you already have, like, for example, we had some students that were actually graduates of University of Central Florida.
Okay.
They came back as certificate students, just to learn the technical side, because University of Central Florida doesn't teach the technical side very much. They've got some technical courses, but nothing like we do. That's what we do.
I think they're more of a broadcast program. I don't think they're a film program.
Very much. I actually graduate from there in the fall.
Congratulations.
From their film program. Yeah, thank you. COVID actually worked out quite well for me, because everything went online, so I could, take classes from home. So, I could see.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say I could see what my teachers were struggling with to help me avoid what they were having problems with as a student. It's like, okay, well, the teacher's talking about this, but we can't see what they're talking about. So I made sure I wanted to have, even using Zoom, if I have a PowerPoint with a video embedded in the PowerPoint, that's not as good as linking the video to a different piece of memory. And I'm pointing down there because it's right over out of camera where I've got the flash drive that I use for all my lessons. But on that same drive, linked inside of it, are the videos. So I'm actually referring PowerPoint to that. I'm not playing it from inside. Because I learned that all the teachers that tried to do that at UCF, they would stall on them, or they would freak them out and kick them out. I don't have to do that. I learned from their lessons.
Yep.
So, dramatically improved. Being a student hopefully has improved my teaching.
What advice would you give anybody who's looking at going to Valencia for your guys' program, or they want to attend there? What advice would you give them?
Contact Mo Fowler. He's like the number 2 guy over there. He's the day-to-day guy. I know you know Mo.
Oh yeah, Mo's funny. He's cool.
Will you do me a favor? Can you throw a link up?
Yeah.
To when you edit this down, I'll give you Mo's information.
Yeah, definitely. We can definitely do that.
Yeah.
That's not a problem.
And what you have to do is, if you already have a college degree, and again, I'm out of this side of it, so I'm kind of talking a little bit out of turn here.
If
you've graduated from
again while you're talking about them.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so,
great. If you've already got there we are right there. If you've already got a film degree, you can do a certificate. If not, if you're just starting out as a freshman in college, you go, and the first year you're doing your prerequisites, and then the second year you devote full time to this program. And for example, my classes are 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., 4 days a week. Lecture's a little shorter than that, just because it's torture if you're going that long. But what we try to do is introduce what we're going to do in lab in the lecture, give some information, and it's immersive. It's not a class. And forgive my glasses for being like this.
No, you're
They're
fine.
tilted up I'm actually talking to the audience, because if I don't, it does that.
Yeah.
So that's why I've tilted them up, so you can kind of see through them a little bit. I know it looks a little weird, but yeah, it's immersive. You're there. That's basically my attitude is that's their full-time job for that year. Now, some students still work in the evening and on weekends, but we produce stuff. It's not like it's just a school. We produce stuff. If you go, I think that website that somewhere on that webpage will be a list of the movies that it may not be this particular page, but it will show. It says right there toward the bottom, Valencia film students have had a hand in 47 feature films in the last 2 decades, and that's exactly right. And we try to do features or a bunch of short films. I like the students to do short films and get an introduction to each department. So it's a great thing. I just love it. We do a bunch of short movies. We've got one of our professors is writing and producing a web series called Dark Echoes on YouTube, and where there's a whole genre that I was completely unfamiliar with, whole genre of videos that's just somebody narrating a story.
Oh yeah, I remember you talking about that.
But now what Bruce is doing, Bruce Wood, you know Bruce?
Yeah.
Bruce is producing the narration, and we're making videos. We're shooting that. So the students get to do that, which I think is fantastic. And he's got like 10 or 12 episodes already completed, and we're looking at, fingers crossed, we'll see, shooting about 10 more this summer. But, we'll see how the stars align.
No, that'd be really cool.
Yeah. I love to see the students doing short stuff, and maybe one full-length feature a year. Of course, you as you well know, you arrange a feature, and if that feature falls through, you're just, okay, what do I do with the next month now?
Yeah.
So we try to have backups, and we were talking with Michael Keaton about something, but now he's getting popular again out in Hollywood, so he's off doing other stuff, and that's just how it works. You arrange for stuff 2 years in advance, and shit happens.
Yep.
That's just how it goes. Welcome to showbiz.
Oh yeah. Well, I definitely want to thank you for taking your time with us today, and
Thank you, man.
talking more about the program you're in and all the fun stuff that goes on there. And sorry you had to deal with Gustavo for a little bit. I mean, he is an audio guy.
Intense.
I tell you what, Gustavo, the next time we're on a job together, I'll hold him, you hit him.
Hey,
That won't be a first, and it won't be a last. So what's your point?
Mikey, it's always a pleasure. You know I'll do anything for you, buddy.
Oh, thanks, man. And like I said, it's been it's kind of cool to talk to what people are doing, you know. And I didn't know much. I mean, I knew the program. I didn't know exactly what everybody does in their program.
Same
I didn't
here.
know. You know, I've known you through the program. I don't know everybody in your guys' program. So I mean, again, you're pretty much the one I work with when I'm out there. You're the one who pretty much brings me over, and so.
Well, we've got Mo. Everybody in Central Florida knows Mo Fowler. I mean,
yeah.
Everybody. He works. He's kind of. I call him the axle by which the rest of us are spokes. You know, it's sort of like every time somebody has a problem, they call Mo.
I'm
Mo
telling
fixes it.
you, you need to get him a name tag. It says "Hey Mo," though. That's the only thing. You know, just say "Hey Mo." That's it.
And anytime I see a meme with Mo in it, I always send it to him.
There you go.
But yeah, Eric Fleming is our department chair. Good young guy, very ambitious. He's got some Hollywood connections. He's kind of the connection to Michael Keaton that hasn't yet come to fruition, but we're working on it. Paul Main is the cinematography teacher. Harrison, I'm going to pronounce his name wrong. I always do. Thevenin, I think, but he's going to kill me if he sees this. But he's a young guy. He was a former student about 6-7 years ago. He's become the audio teacher. He's developed quite a great reputation around town. You know Joe Stone, art department Joe? I'm sure you'd recognize him.
If I see him, I'll recognize him. I have that problem remembering people's names.
I got you.
You know, I
well,
remember
Joe has been
faces
doing
before
art
names.
department for us. Joe's been doing art department instruction for us for probably as long as I have. And I've been there. This is my 20th year.
Was he there with John, right? They were doing the
Yes.
sets.
Yes.
Yeah, I know you're talking
Yep.
about. Yeah.
And speaking of John and Joe are doing it together now. John used to teach John is an Emmy award-winning not cinematographer, but director, producer. He's done several documentaries.
Which is so funny because if you talk to him or look at him, you would never know.
Yeah. And he's won a bunch of Emmys this past year on I think the Tuskegee Airmen, or maybe it was the female air.
I think it was
female
Tuskegee. I think is what
supporters.
it was. I think it was the Tuskegee. It's pronounced. Yeah, I think it was that
Yeah.
one.
John, forgive me. I'm sorry I got it wrong, but you won an Emmy, John. Good for you.
Yes, he did.
And John is a great guy. John's an old friend.
And,
as a matter of fact, John was instrumental in getting me over to the program 20 years ago.
And by the way, Stuart, if you have any students that want to win an Adamus Connect, you know, send them our way and have them subscribe to the channel, and that's how they can win one for free. You know,
That is a cool thing, guys. Did you guys see what that was?
it's a little.
That's HDMI
It's
to
a little
USB. I'm
dongle.
guessing USB 3.1,
It's USB 3.0,
3.0.
and it's HDMI on the other end. And what you can do is you connect any HDMI source to a computer, and then you go through, you know, any recording software, record your video game playing, or you know, if you want to hook a camera to a computer or whatever you want.
So it records audio and video?
Yeah, anything that's on the HDMI cable, it'll record.
I thought it was audio only. That thing's just became twice as cool as I thought it was.
It'll take any signal up to 4K, but it only records in 1080 up to 60. So
That's amazing.
we might give away a couple audio things in the future. I don't know. We haven't really decided what we're giving away. It's mostly like, you know, what our sponsors give us to give away. So it's kind of like.
Do you know how much that costs for someone to buy?
Yeah, actually, I believe they're like $80. Let me bring up the
That's
website.
cheap.
Yeah, it's like $80 or something like that. And here, I'll show you. This is the website. So, let me take those out. I think it's like $80 or somewhere like that. But
That's fantastic. $80. That's cheap.
yeah, I mean, you know, technology has made things cheaper over the time.
Indeed.
And, I've got a couple to give away. It's just now a matter of getting people to subscribe to give them to. And we're
All right,
doing pretty
subscribe. How do they subscribe, Michael? Tell us how they subscribe.
much on YouTube. Just click down below. You know, there's a subscribe button. Oh, let me move my hand the right way. There you go. Basically, underneath where Stuart is, there's a little red button that says subscribe, and then every 25 people that subscribe, we'll take everybody's on the list, and we'll give one away.
That's fantastic.
So, like I said, hopefully sooner than later, because right now it's really funny. As we're filming this, we only have 23 subscribers, which is kind of funny. So we have not given one away yet.
I'll tell you what. I'll send a message to all of every class I have has its own Facebook group. So
Yeah,
I'll
we
send
know we
something
know
out
how
to them
that
to
works.
Actually works pretty well. They do a
Yeah.
lot of job references to each other.
Didn't you have them all watch a video when I came last time and nobody watched it?
It got posted late. Yeah, it got
Oh, okay.
posted late. I went and looked. It didn't post.
Gotcha.
But yes, yeah. I actually put a link to the camera car, and told them to watch it because this is what they were going to be watching. But yeah,
And nobody
they're not
watched
very
it.
fast. But if it's something that perhaps benefits them,
Hey, like I said, and just because you're the first 25 doesn't mean you can't enter the next one. It's just as the names collect, subscribers collect, we're just going to go ahead and keep on giving stuff away. As long as we've got things to. Like I said, it's never been opened. It's brand new in a box.
so it's free. Free is good.
Yeah, free. Especially, students could always use a free product.
Sure.
But once again, thank you, and then just send me Mo's
My
info.
pleasure.
We'll put it on the lower thirds for you, and
Sounds
we'll,
good.
Mo will probably be like, "What's going on?" all of a sudden, but not a problem. And once again, thank you, Stuart, for your time, and
Thank you, buddy.
hope everything works out for you shortly, and in the future, hope everything gets better, and hopefully, COVID hasn't killed off too much of your career, like it's done to some people. God, it's really sad.
Yeah.
It's a shame it's happened.
I got something just this morning saying, "Hey, we're coming back to town. You want to do a show?" It's like, okay. So that was nice to see those emails kind of coming back through.
Yeah, no, it's
know,
good to
people
see,
say-
once the vaccines are being pushed out and people are getting more vaccinated and things are starting to come back. I mean,
Agreed.
we were off for a little bit with this program because we were kind of busy for a little bit, so we didn't have time to shoot some of these episodes ourselves. And but yeah,
Well, you're doing the Lord's business, Michael. The Lord's business, I tell you.
I think you're talking to
Sorry.
the wrong person. But thank you anyway.
Sorry, Gustavo. I hope I didn't overload your input there.
No, he's laughing because he knows that you're saying it to the wrong person. I'm a New York
I'm a
atheist Jew, so what do you want from me?
I'm a
no,
card-carrying atheist myself, so not a problem.
There you go. But once again, I'd like to thank Stuart Hall for joining Gustavo and I. And as always, we hope to see you here again. And please subscribe below. And if you like this video, hit the like button. And like I said, we're doing giveaways all the time. So and if you have anybody you'd like us to talk to or try and get a hold of in the future, let's send them who you want. And if we want to talk to a certain director, we'll see if we can get a hold of them.
Hey, it doesn't have to be a one person. It could be a group.
It could be, yeah. If you have a music artist, or a band or something you want to do, give us a holler. We'll see what we can get a hold of. I do know a lot of people in the industry. Gustavo knows a lot of people in the industry. Stuart knows a ton of people in the industry. So we can, bug him, and I can maybe rack in some of those favors he owes me and says, hey, give me this person's number, and let's talk to him online. So once again, thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us from the trailer. And I hope you all have a successful life, and hope everything's going good for everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great time.
Thank you for joining us for this installment of From the Trailer. Don't forget to like and subscribe for the latest news. Tune in next week as Michael and Gustavo interview guests from the world of entertainment and production. For more info, go to obtrailer.com. The on-site broadcasting trailer is available for hire locally and throughout the world if budget allowed. Broadcast not intended for legal, medical, or financial advice. Announcer is an unpaid spokesperson. Void where prohibited. Not responsible for personal items left in the trailer. Any resemblance to any living persons or otherwise is purely coincidental. Contents under pressure. Actual retail price may vary. Use only as directed. Keep hands and feet inside the trailer at all times. Professional driver on a closed course. Do not attempt this at home. No animals, technicians, or clients were harmed in the making of this video.